Lean Analytics by Alistair Croll, Benjamin Yoskovitz. Lean Analytics challenges you to rethink the way you approach business, growth, and innovation. It dismantles the myth that entrepreneurship is about passion and ideas alone, replacing it with the cold, hard truth that success is built on data and disciplined action. The book walks you through the essential frameworks for tracking the right metrics, identifying what truly matters, and avoiding the trap of chasing vanity numbers that lead nowhere. By rooting every decision in actionable analytics, you can eliminate guesswork and iterate faster than your competitors. Whether you're launching a startup or managing a team within a larger organization, this book equips you with the mindset and tools to adapt, survive, and thrive in the face of uncertainty. Lesson 1. Measure what matters. The first lesson is brutal in its simplicity and indispensable in its application. Most people waste time measuring the wrong things. This isn't just a technical error, it's a fundamental failure of focus. Data, in its vastness, can overwhelm you, leading you to track dozens of metrics that look impressive but ultimately mislead. Lean Analytics strips away this noise and forces you to concentrate on the one metric that matters at any given moment in your business's life cycle. This singular focus is not a luxury, it's a survival mechanism. By zeroing in on a single actionable number, you align your team, streamline decisions, and cut through ambiguity. Measuring what matters demands clarity about your goals and discipline to ignore distractions. Airbnb's early story is the quintessential example. When the company was struggling to gain traction, its founders didn't get bogged down in vanity metrics like the total number of listings or overall site visits. Instead, they targeted user engagement. They understood that active, satisfied users drive growth far more effectively than an inflated user base that doesn't transact. To solve their problem, they implemented a highly specific intervention. They sent professional photographers to hosts' homes to improve the quality of listings. This small, tactical decision directly improved booking rates. Better photos led to more bookings, which led to happier hosts and guests, creating a cycle of trust and growth. This was their one metric that matters, improving booking rates, and every decision supported it. That disciplined focus transformed Airbnb from a fledgling startup into a global powerhouse. This approach parallels Jim Collins' concept of the flywheel in Good to Great. Collins explains how consistent, disciplined actions create momentum that propels businesses forward. Airbnb's attention to booking rates is a prime example of this principle in action. Small, incremental improvements in listing quality had a compounding effect on the company's reputation, user base, and revenue. The flywheel spun faster with each decision rooted in their one metric that matters. Collins's work reminds you that it's not about dramatic changes, but about ensuring every step builds on the last. Measuring the right thing keeps your flywheel spinning efficiently. The danger of measuring the wrong metrics is not just inefficiency, it's fatal misdirection. Consider the collapse of the dot-com bubble, where countless companies inflated their metrics to attract investors. Startups boasted about page views or eyeballs, ignoring the fact that these numbers didn't correlate with profitability or user retention. This obsession with vanity metrics blinded companies to their underlying weaknesses. Unlike Airbnb's disciplined approach, these businesses failed to identify what truly mattered, delivering value that users would pay for. You cannot afford to make the same mistake. Vanity metrics might impress the uninformed, but they won't help you solve real problems or sustain growth. The idea of focusing on what matters has echoes in The Art of War by Sun Tzu, who wrote, "Victory comes from finding opportunities in problems." Sun Tzu's strategic wisdom emphasizes clarity of purpose. Just as Airbnb identified booking rates as the opportunity within their initial struggles, you must isolate the metric that will propel you forward. Whether you're running a tech startup, managing a team, or pursuing a personal goal, the principle holds: figure out what your specific opportunity is, measure it relentlessly, and act on it with precision. Distraction is the enemy of progress, and measuring the wrong thing is the ultimate distraction. The takeaway is non-negotiable. Identify your single metric that matters and let it guide your decisions. This requires ruthless prioritization. Resist the temptation to measure everything. Secondary data and irrelevant statistics will only dilute your focus and slow your progress. Evaluate your goals, understand your current stage, and choose the one metric that aligns with your most immediate need. Revisit this metric regularly, and if your circumstances shift, adjust accordingly. Success demands discipline, and discipline begins with measuring what matters. Lesson 2. Validate before you scale. Scaling prematurely is one of the fastest paths to failure. Growth without validation is like building a house on quicksand. The higher you climb, the faster everything collapses when the foundation gives way. Lean analytics drives this lesson home with examples of startups that wasted vast amounts of time, money, and effort scaling businesses that hadn't yet proven their viability. Validation isn't a nice-to-have. It's an essential checkpoint. Without it, you're gambling with your future, pouring resources into assumptions that might not hold water. You must resist the allure of rapid growth and instead focus on proving your concept in the real world before you invest in scaling it. Consider Aardvark, a social search engine that took the principle of validation to heart. Before building out complex technology, the founders manually connected users behind the scenes. Their minimum viable product wasn't fancy or automated, it was scrappy, bare bones, and held together with duct tape. But it worked. Users interacted with the product, providing valuable feedback and proving the concept had legs. This approach is the epitome of what Eric Ries outlines in The Lean Startup, building a minimum viable product that allows you to test your assumptions with minimal effort and cost. Aardvark didn't waste time perfecting a system no one wanted. Instead, they ensured there was demand before investing in automation and scaling. The wisdom of this approach is reinforced by the story of Webvan, one of the most infamous failures of the dot-com era. Webvan spent hundreds of millions of dollars building an elaborate infrastructure for grocery delivery, including warehouses, fleets of delivery trucks, and sophisticated software. But they skipped a critical step, validating that customers wanted to order groceries online at scale. They scaled before proving demand, and when the numbers didn't materialize, the company went bankrupt. Webvan's downfall serves as a stark contrast to Aardvark's disciplined approach. It's a reminder that grand visions mean nothing without validation. History and literature also illustrate this principle. Consider the Apollo program, one of humanity's most ambitious undertakings. NASA didn't jump straight to landing a man on the moon. They validated each step meticulously. The Mercury and Gemini programs tested spacecraft, life support systems, and navigation techniques. Every small mission built confidence and provided proof that the next phase was achievable. This incremental approach mirrors the philosophy of lean analytics. Test, learn, validate, and only then move forward. The lesson applies universally, whether you're building a business, launching a product, or pursuing any complex goal. Validation requires you to challenge your assumptions constantly. It's easy to fall in love with your ideas and assume others will too. But assumptions are dangerous. Build scrappy, imperfect solutions that allow you to gather real-world feedback as quickly as possible. Don't aim for perfection at this stage. It's a waste of time and resources. Your minimum viable product exists to answer a single question. Does this solve a real problem for real people? The answer will determine whether your idea deserves further investment or needs to be scrapped. Scaling prematurely is a mistake rooted in impatience, ego, or misplaced confidence. It's tempting to believe that throwing more money, people, or infrastructure at a problem will fix it. But growth amplifies both strengths and weaknesses. If your core assumptions are flawed, scaling will only accelerate your downfall. Resist the urge to skip steps. Take the time to validate your product, market, and business model before you pour fuel on the fire. The takeaway is simple but vital. Validate early and often. Challenge your assumptions relentlessly. Build the scrappiest, most imperfect version of your idea and test it in the real world. Don't waste time perfecting something no one wants. Treat validation as a prerequisite, not an afterthought. Only when you've proven demand and refined your solution should you begin scaling. In business, as in life, the foundation must be solid before you build higher. Lesson 3. Know your stage. Every business, regardless of size or industry, evolves through distinct stages, each requiring a unique focus and specific metrics to guide its growth. Lean analytics emphasizes the importance of understanding where your business stands: empathy, stickiness, virality, revenue, or scale, and tailoring your approach to the challenges of that stage. Misidentifying your stage leads to wasted effort, misguided priorities, and missed opportunities. Success depends on brutal honesty about your current position and an unwavering focus on advancing to the next level. In the empathy stage, your primary objective is to deeply understand your users and their pain points. This isn't about launching flashy features or chasing revenue. It's about connecting with your audience at a human level. Howard Schultz exemplified this during Starbucks' inception. He didn't dive headfirst into selling coffee. Instead, he immersed himself in Italian cafe culture, observing how locals treated coffee shops as gathering places. Schultz's insights shaped Starbucks into a global phenomenon by focusing first on creating an inviting experience. Similarly, your metrics at this stage should measure customer sentiment, feedback, and problem validation. If you fail to understand your users, no amount of growth or marketing will compensate for the disconnect. Progressing to the stickiness stage shifts your focus to retention. Are users coming back? Are they finding value? Dropbox famously mastered this stage by incentivizing users to share the product with friends in exchange for free storage. This tactic didn't just acquire users, it ensured they remained engaged. Stickiness metrics include user retention rates, session duration, and churn reduction. This stage parallels Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where basic survival, empathy, must be secured before moving toward higher levels like belonging and growth, stickiness, and beyond. Just as Maslow's levels build upon one another, your business stages demand foundational success before you tackle more complex goals. The virality stage is about growth and network effects. Once you've ensured users are satisfied and returning, you turn your attention to exponential acquisition. Consider how Instagram exploded onto the scene by making photo sharing effortless and encouraging social sharing. Virality metrics include referral rates, shareability, and organic growth multipliers. However, virality without retention is a wasted effort. Growth that leaks users out the back end is unsustainable, which underscores why stickiness must precede virality. Revenue becomes the focus once your product sticks and grows. This stage isn't just about making money, it's about ensuring profitability without sacrificing user experience. Amazon's early days are instructive here. Jeff Bezos prioritized long-term customer loyalty over short-term profits, offering features like free shipping and generous return policies to build trust. Revenue metrics include average transaction value, customer lifetime value, and conversion rates. At this stage, you must strike a delicate balance between monetization and maintaining user satisfaction. Finally, the scale stage pushes you to optimize and expand your operations efficiently. At this point, you've validated demand, retained users, grown your base, and generated revenue. Now, it's about replicating success on a larger scale without losing quality or control. McDonald's exemplifies this with its systematized processes that allow it to deliver a consistent experience worldwide. Scaling metrics include cost per acquisition, operational efficiency, and geographic or demographic expansion. Misunderstanding your stage is as dangerous as chasing irrelevant metrics. If you focus on revenue before empathy, you'll build products no one cares about. If you chase virality before stickiness, you'll waste resources acquiring users who won't stay. Each stage builds upon the previous one, and skipping steps is a recipe for failure. Honest self-assessment is crucial. Just as a skilled doctor diagnoses before prescribing, you must identify your stage before acting. The takeaway is clear. Know your stage, and let it dictate your focus. Resist the temptation to rush forward or imitate companies in later stages. Diagnose your position with unflinching honesty and track only the metrics that drive you to the next level. Success comes from mastering the basics before advancing to greater challenges. Lesson 4. Vanity kills progress. Vanity metrics are seductive, but they are poison to progress. They offer the illusion of success while obscuring the truth, misleading you into thinking you're making strides when you're actually standing still, or worse, heading toward failure. Lean Analytics warns against this trap, urging you to focus on actionable metrics instead. Vanity metrics like website visits, social media followers, or app downloads may look impressive on the surface, but they fail to answer the critical question: does this data drive meaningful decisions or tangible results? You must abandon the need to look good and commit to the metrics that expose reality, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. Groupon's rise and subsequent struggles serve as a stark example of vanity metrics' allure. Early on, Groupon dazzled investors with skyrocketing user numbers driven by promotions and giveaways. These numbers created an illusion of explosive growth, but they masked deeper issues. Many users who signed up for high-value deals never returned, revealing a fundamental flaw in the business model. It wasn't designed to retain loyal customers by focusing on flashy metrics instead of retention and profitability. Groupon scaled a model that wasn't sustainable. The eventual stagnation of its business highlighted the dangers of prioritizing appearances over substance. The story of Enron provides an even graver example. Enron manipulated its financial statements to inflate revenue and stock prices, creating an image of unstoppable growth. These vanity metrics mask the reality of a deeply flawed and unsustainable business. When the truth emerged, the company collapsed, taking employees' pensions and investors' savings with it. Both Groupon and Enron exemplify how vanity metrics can create a false sense of achievement while eroding the foundation of long-term success. The lesson is clear. Surface-level data that doesn't drive decisions is worse than useless. It's destructive. Vanity metrics are everywhere, especially in the age of social media. Consider influencers who boast about millions of followers but fail to convert that audience into meaningful engagement or sales. In contrast, actionable metrics, such as engagement rates or conversions, provide a clear picture of whether the influencer is actually driving impact. Similarly, in business, actionable metrics are those that inform your next steps, such as customer acquisition costs, churn rates, or lifetime value. These numbers are less glamorous but infinitely more valuable because they tell you what's working, what's broken, and where to focus next. The distinction between vanity and actionable metrics is reminiscent of the fable of the emperor's new clothes. Vanity metrics are like the emperor's invisible garments, impressive to look at but meaningless in reality. The actionable metric, like the child in the story who points out the emperor's nakedness, reveals the unvarnished truth. You must be willing to strip away illusions and confront the data that reflects what truly matters. To avoid the trap of vanity metrics, you must ask yourself one simple question: does this number change what I do next? If the answer is no, the metric is vanity, no matter how impressive it looks. This mindset demands humility and discipline. It's tempting to chase metrics that make you feel successful, but doing so wastes time, resources, and energy. Instead, focus on metrics that align with your goals and guide your decisions. For instance, if your goal is to improve customer retention, don't obsess over total downloads. Measure retention rates, repeat usage, and customer satisfaction. The takeaway is non-negotiable. Vanity metrics kill progress by masking the truth. Abandon your attachment to numbers that make you look good but don't drive action. Instead, pursue metrics that reveal your weaknesses and show you where to improve. Always demand clarity and actionable insights from your data. Progress depends not on how good your numbers look, but on how effectively they help you move forward. Lesson 5. Speed trumps perfection. Speed isn't just a competitive advantage, it's the lifeblood of innovation. In a world where markets evolve faster than ever, waiting for perfection is a luxury you can't afford. Lean Analytics underscores this truth with examples like Dropbox, which bypassed traditional product development by creating a simple demo video to explain its concept. Without building any actual technology, the founders validated their idea with thousands of potential users. The response to the video confirmed demand, allowing them to move forward with confidence and focus. This approach wasn't just clever, it was essential. They avoided wasting time and resources on features no one wanted and used speed to leap ahead of competitors. Iteration beats perfection every time. Dropbox's strategy exemplifies the principle of rapid prototyping, a cornerstone of innovation. IDEO, the renowned design firm, has used this method to create groundbreaking products like Apple's first mouse and the Palm V. At IDEO, prototypes aren't polished, they're messy, quick, and designed to fail fast. The goal isn't perfection, it's learning. The faster you create, test, and adapt, the sooner you identify what works and what doesn't. This approach is grounded in action and feedback, bypassing the paralysis that comes from overthinking or striving for flawlessness. The danger of chasing perfection is evident in stories of companies that collapsed under their own weight. Take Kodak, a giant that fell because it hesitated to embrace digital photography. Fear of cannibalizing its profitable film business led Kodak to delay innovation while smaller, faster competitors disrupted the market. Perfectionism isn't just about refining products, it's about being too slow to act, too hesitant to release something unfinished. Kodak's story is a cautionary tale. Speed to market often outweighs the risk of imperfection. Speed isn't about carelessness, it's about prioritization. When the Wright brothers set out to invent powered flight, they didn't try to perfect every component at once. They built simple prototypes, tested them, and made incremental improvements. Each iteration brought them closer to success. Their competitors, who pursued perfection with elaborate designs, fell behind. This focus on rapid iteration mirrors the principles of the lean startup, where building a minimum viable product enables you to learn from real users quickly. Every iteration brings clarity and progress, while waiting for perfection delays both. The obsession with perfection often stems from fear of failure, judgment, or losing face. But failure is inevitable in innovation, and speed transforms failure from a setback into a stepping stone. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Edison's relentless experimentation wasn't about getting it right the first time. It was about learning as quickly as possible. Every failure brought him closer to the solution. Similarly, when you embrace speed, you reframe failure as feedback, accelerating your path to success. Prioritizing speed doesn't mean sacrificing quality. It means focusing on delivering value quickly. You don't need to solve every problem or anticipate every use case. Instead, you need to create something functional and test it in the real world. Take Instagram, which started as a location-based app called Bourbon. The founders quickly realized users were drawn to one specific feature: photo sharing. By pivoting and iterating rapidly, they stripped away unnecessary features and focused on perfecting that one core function. The result was a global phenomenon. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Speed matters because it gets you in front of users faster, enables you to gather feedback sooner, and allows you to adapt before it's too late. Create, test, learn, and adapt relentlessly. Treat imperfection as a step, not a flaw. Success belongs to those who act decisively and iterate quickly. Speed isn't just a strategy, it's a mindset that propels you forward. Lesson 6. Build feedback loops. Success is not a straight line, it is a continuous cycle of adaptation, learning, and improvement. Lean analytics champions the power of feedback loops as the engine driving this process, enabling you to turn raw data into actionable insights that fuel growth. Feedback loops operate as self-sustaining systems where input leads to action, action generates results, and results produce new input. The faster and more effectively you close these loops, the stronger your ability to evolve and thrive in competitive markets. Amazon epitomizes the mastery of feedback loops. By leveraging customer reviews, the company has built a system that not only refines product recommendations, but also improves inventory management, pricing strategies, and even product design. Every review feeds back into Amazon's algorithms, creating a personalized shopping experience that strengthens user satisfaction and drives sales. This system doesn't just react to customer behavior, it learns from it, adapting in real time to stay ahead of competitors. The loop doesn't stop, it accelerates, turning every interaction into an opportunity for growth. This cyclical approach to success finds its roots in Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Darwin observed that species survive not because they are the strongest, but because they adapt most effectively to their environments. Similarly, businesses succeed not by being perfect from the start, but by evolving through feedback. Netflix is a modern-day example of this principle in action. The company began as a DVD rental service but transitioned to streaming based on shifting consumer preferences. Its feedback loop now operates through algorithms that analyze viewing habits to recommend content, driving both user engagement and content strategy. Netflix's ability to adapt and iterate rapidly has allowed it to dominate an industry it helped redefine. Feedback loops are not confined to businesses. They are central to every system that thrives on improvement. The scientific method itself is a feedback loop: hypothesis, experiment, observation, and revision. Each cycle of experimentation refines knowledge and brings us closer to truth. This same principle applies to your endeavors. Whether you're managing a project, launching a product, or improving personal habits, your success depends on your ability to gather input, analyze outcomes, and adjust your approach. Building effective feedback loops requires deliberate systems. It starts with gathering data, whether through customer surveys, analytics tools, or direct observation. But data alone is meaningless without analysis. You must dissect the information to uncover actionable insights, much like a detective piecing together clues to solve a case. Finally, you act on those insights, implementing changes and measuring the results. The loop doesn't end here. It begins again, with each iteration sharpening your decisions and compounding your progress. Speed and efficiency in closing these loops are critical. The faster you gather and act on feedback, the sooner you can correct mistakes, capitalize on opportunities, and outpace competitors. Consider the agile development methodology used in software design, which emphasizes rapid iterative cycles of development and testing. By prioritizing small, incremental improvements over massive, infrequent overhauls, agile teams adapt more quickly to changing requirements and user needs. This approach mirrors the essence of feedback loops: learn fast, act faster. The takeaway is both straightforward and profound. Build feedback loops into every aspect of your work. Automate them wherever possible, ensuring that data flows seamlessly into analysis and action. Never let a decision go unexamined or an action unmeasured. Treat feedback as the lifeblood of improvement, using it to refine your strategies, products, and processes continually. The faster and more disciplined your loops, the greater your ability to adapt, grow, and thrive. Success belongs to those who learn not once, but endlessly. Conclusion. Lean analytics distills the chaotic world of entrepreneurship into a structured approach rooted in measurable progress. It demands that you confront uncomfortable truths, discard assumptions, and act with relentless discipline. The lessons transcend startups. They apply to any organization or individual seeking growth. For deeper insights, consider reading The Lean Startup by Eric Ries and Good to Great by Jim Collins. Both expand on themes of disciplined execution and iterative improvement. Remember, success is a function of focus, speed, and adaptability. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start measuring, start learning, and start winning. The end.